After God created the earth, there was a rebellion that shook the heavens. One angel, once radiant in beauty and power, desired more. His name was Lucifer. Lucifer was not just any angel. He was an anointed cherub full of wisdom, perfect in beauty. He walked among the stones of fire, adorned in splendor, a being of unmatched brilliance. But pride took root in his heart. He no longer wished to serve, he wished to rule. I will ascend to heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on the mount of the congregation. I will be like the Most High. Lucifer's desire was not just power, it was worship. And in his arrogance, he convinced a third of the angelic host to follow him. A war unlike any other began, a war in heaven itself. The archangel Michael, leading the armies of God, stood against Lucifer and his followers. The battle raged, celestial swords clashing, the heavens shaking with their conflict. But Lucifer could not prevail. He and his army were cast out, no longer angels but fallen beings, exiled from heaven. The once glorious morning star became Satan, the adversary, the deceiver of the world. His war did not end in heaven. He now seeks to corrupt, to destroy, to lead mankind astray. But his time is short and his fate is sealed. Satan and his angels were cast out of heaven and onto the earth, and the vision shows Satan lashes out on earth because he is angry at having lost out in heaven. Here's a more detailed explanation. The war in heaven, Revelation chapter 12, verses 7 to 9, describes a conflict in heaven where Michael and his angels fight against the dragon, Satan, and his angels. Banishing to earth. The great dragon, identified as the devil or Satan, is thrown down to earth along with his angels. Satan's actions on earth. The vision suggests that Satan, now on earth, is angry and seeks to cause harm and deception. Heaven rejoiced that Satan and his angels are banished from heaven. Satan's actions on earth are to oppose God and his kingdom, seeking to steal, kill, and destroy. Ultimately, his aim is world dominion, leading people away from God through deception and temptation. When Lucifer fell to earth, he entered the Garden of Eden. Eve was deceived by the serpent, Satan, into eating the forbidden fruit. While Adam, though he also disobeyed God, was not deceived by the serpent, but rather by Eve, who had been deceived. Satan spoke to Eve, questioning God's command and suggesting that eating the fruit would make them wise. Eve believed the serpent's lie and ate the fruit, thus committing the first sin. Adam was not deceived, but the woman was deceived and became a transgressor, further clarifying that Adam's sin was not due to deception from the serpent, but rather his own choice to disobey God. Even after Adam and Eve's sin in the Garden of Eden, God demonstrated compassion for mankind by offering a path to reconciliation and forgiveness, ultimately sending his son Jesus to atone for humanity's sins. The story of the Garden of Eden, as described in Genesis, details how Adam and Eve disobeyed God's command not to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. This act of disobedience, often referred to as the fall, introduced sin and its consequences into the world. Instead of immediately destroying humanity, God showed mercy and compassion. God banished Adam and Eve from the Garden of Eden, but he also provided them with garments of skin, symbolizing a covering for their nakedness and a foreshadowing of the sacrifice that would come later. God also gave a promise of a future seed, a descendant of Eve, who would crush the serpent's head. This foreshadowed the coming of Jesus, the Messiah, who would defeat sin and death. God continued to care for humanity even after their sin and provided for their needs. God's actions demonstrate his compassion and desire for reconciliation with humanity. God's ultimate act of compassion was sending his son Jesus to die on the cross to atone for the sins of humanity. Through Jesus' sacrifice, God offers grace and forgiveness to all who believe in him. The story of the Garden of Eden and the fall of man serves as a reminder of humanity's original state of innocence and relationship with God, as well as the consequences of sin and the promise of redemption through Christ Jesus.